And as we were talking and discussing various things, he kind of got quiet, and he said, well, I want to tell you something. And he said, you need to find Mose. And of course, I had no idea what he was talking about. And I said, well, what's Mose? Who's Mose? And he said, Mose Gingrich. Again, I asked him who Mose Gingrich was. And he had said, well, the group or the individual who took his boys showed him a picture of Mose and said, this is who you contact if you want to get your boys back. And of course, for him to tell me something like that was so far out of the ordinary. He never would even let me talk about the boys and what sports they like to play or what TV shows they like to watch, let alone something investigatively that would shed some light on this case. Mm-hmm. So that was fairly fascinating to me that he decided at this point in time to give me a name at least. He didn't say much more than that, other than the group told him. He said the group gave him a photograph of Mr. Gingrich, but he burned it, or he lost it during the 2 days around Thanksgiving and Black Friday, but that's who I needed to contact. So once the interview was concluded, immediately I got to work on Mose Gingrich. After just a few minutes of searching, found that he, being Moses, was a former TV personality on an Amish TV show. I don't actually recall the name of the show at this second, but essentially Moses was on a show relating to the Amish. He was a former Amish person, and during that time, he and his wife were getting out of the Amish community, and they were setting up some sort of halfway house or a system set up to where other kids and people who wanted to remove themselves from the Amish community, they would assist them on how to use a cell phone, how to use the internet, how to drive a car, those types of things. So that's the Mose Gingrich. That's who he was.
So he would help people leave, not go in.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Correct. So we found, again, that was, a simple internet search, honestly, we found Moses quickly and were able to determine that's a little bit of his background. I was able to track down a phone number for Mr. Gingrich and call him. I believe he was from Arkansas at the time, currently working as a truck driver. He was out of the TV realm at that point. And so I explained why wanted to reach out to him. Of course, I think he actually was driving at the time and, had to pull his semi over to digest, the magnitude of the conversation. And it was difficult initially because a lot of the information that I wanted to share with him, it's difficult to do that over the phone, especially something as sensitive as this. I'd rather see him face to face. Right. But just due to the distance, I did need to disclose a little bit. And that led us to asking him if he'd be willing to come to Michigan and to do an interview with us and to possibly even get in front of John and to help us find these boys. Moses was 100% on board. He wanted to, number one, help us if there was something to do to help 3 missing children, but to also find out why this person in Michigan in prison for parental kidnapping and child endangerment would be mentioning his name. And so literally within just a few short months of John mentioning Moses to me, we had flown Moses to Michigan and conducted an interview with him, and then it went from there.
Okay, what happened next?
So next, Moses again agreed to meet with John. We cleared this with Michigan Department of Corrections. They said, absolutely, do what you need to do. And so I went back, and John was kind of confused because usually, every few months he'd get used to me showing up, and this was probably off timing just a little bit. And so I spoke with John, and I said, hey, we've got some, really, really good news. I said that, we were able to track down Mose Gingrich. And his response, it just appeared 100% fake initially. He was like, well, did he find the boys? And it's not the kind of response that, if we just found your boys, you probably would be a little bit more excited or have a little bit more of a reaction than some fake rehearsed response. I said, no, we haven't found the boys, but he actually, agreed to talk to you, and we have him here today, and that's when I brought Moses in to the room. Okay. John's reaction to this was a little bit just unbelievable to me. He became white as a ghost. He couldn't formulate a sentence. He started visibly shaking, almost to the point I thought he might have a medical response. Moses sat down, introduced himself to John, and it took a moment for John to realize kind of what was going on. John never thought in a million years we would, what I believe, call his bluff on this.
Right.
Again, Moses introduced himself to John and just said, this is why I'm here. This detective explained to me that you mentioned my name, and I just want to know, what I can do to help. How did you hear my name? And over the course of a few minutes, John was able to compose himself a little bit and basically told Moses the same thing, that this group gave him this photograph. He goes, I did kind of recognize you when you walked in. And again, John gave no other information. He had nothing to say. He had no excitement, no elation that we found this person who he initially told me would help us find the boys. He looked scared to death. And so for me, it was, and I've always, I had my own beliefs on what happened to the boys, but, was this the time that maybe John was actually giving me something that would be helpful? And for him to show in a complete opposite reaction to what he should be showing if we found the one person that can find the boys, it was just very enlightening to me as to his true involvement with whatever horrible it was that he did.